The great hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with voices from 100 different worlds. Strange creatures with too many arms talked in clicking sounds. Tall beings with silver skin discussed trade routes in musical tones. In the middle of all this noise, Ambassador Hyun from Earth stood quietly at the human podium. Hyun was not a tall man. He did not have bright colors or sharp teeth like many of the other speakers. His brown suit looked plain next to the flowing robes and metal, armor worn by aliens around him. But when he cleared his throat, something in his calm voice made the room grow quiet. "Friends and fellow council members," Hyun began, his words slow and clear. "Today I bring news from Earth and all human colonies. We have achieved something that many said was not possible." Counselor Vector, a large creature with red scales, made a sound like laughing. His species had controlled the galaxy's energy markets for 3,000 years. "More human dreams," he rumbled in his deep voice. "What impossible thing do you claim now?" Hyun did not look angry at the interruption. He simply waited until Vector finished speaking, then continued as if nothing had happened. "We have created working fusion reactors that need no fuel from outside sources. Our energy is now completely independent." The hall erupted in noise. Some aliens laughed. Others made angry sounds. A few looked worried, but not many. Dr. Wu, Earth's chief scientist, stepped forward with a small device in her hands. She was a quiet woman who rarely spoke in these meetings, but her data was always perfect. "The numbers are here for anyone who wants to see them," Dr. Wu said. She pressed a button, and holographic charts filled the air above the podium. "Our new reactors produce 300% more energy than our old fusion plants. They can run for 50 years without new fuel. The design is simple enough to build on any human world." Counselor Zephys from the Trade Federation made a sound like wind chimes, laughing. Her species looked like walking crystals, and they had grown rich by controlling the flow of energy crystals across the galaxy. "Humans always make big claims," she sang in her bell-like voice. "But where is the proof? Where are these magical machines?" Captain Lee of the Earth Defense Corps stood up. He was a soldier, not a diplomat, and his uniform was simple gray fabric. But there was something different about the way he held himself today. Something that had not been there in past meetings. "The proof is in our actions," Captain Lee said. His voice was steady and sure. "Starting today, Earth and all human colonies will no longer need energy imports from any alien source. We thank the Council for 3 centuries of help, but that help is no longer needed." Engineer Park stepped up to the microphone next. She was young for such an important job, but her hands were steady as she showed the Council her plans. "We have also solved our food production problems," she said. "Our new growing systems can feed any human world without outside help. We will no longer need to import food or farming materials." Some of the alien counselors were starting to look less amused. Food imports from human worlds had been a major part of galactic trade. Human farmers were known for growing things that other species could not. Diplomat Kim was the last human to speak. She was older than the others, with gray hair and kind eyes. She had spent 40 years making deals between humans and aliens. But today, even she seemed different. "The human government has made some decisions," Kim said calmly. "We are ending all current trade agreements. We are pulling out of the Galactic Science Exchange Program. Our merchant ships will complete their current contracts, but will not take new ones with alien companies." The hall exploded into chaos. Aliens jumped to their feet, making angry noises in dozens of languages. Some demanded to know why. Others threatened to cut off all trade with human worlds. A few tried to shout over each other about laws and treaties. Through all the noise, the humans stood quietly at their podium. They did not argue. They did not shout back. They simply waited for the noise to die down. High Counselor Zervan, an ancient being who looked like a walking tree, called for order. His voice was old and tired. "Explain yourselves," he demanded. What is the meaning of this behavior? Ambassador Hyun stepped forward again. There is no anger in this decision, he said. We are grateful for everything the galaxy has taught us. But we have learned all we can learn. Now we choose to go our own way. You cannot just leave, Counselor Morgeth from the Synthesis shouted. His species looked like silver spiders, and they made money by managing trade between different worlds. You have contracts. You have responsibilities. All contracts will be honored, Dr. Wu said quietly. All debts will be paid. All agreements will be completed exactly as written. But no new agreements will be made. This is foolish, Vectar growled. You humans have always needed our help. Your ships use our engines. Your cities use our power. Sources. Your medicine comes from our labs. You will come crawling back within months. Captain Lee smiled for the first time that day. It was not a mean smile, but it was confident in a way that made some aliens step back. We thank you for your concern, he said. But we will not be crawling anywhere. Engineer Park added something that made the room go very quiet. Our ships now use engines we built ourselves. Our cities run on power we make ourselves. Our medicine comes from labs we operate ourselves. We kept learning while others thought we were staying the same. The meeting ended with more shouting and angry demands, but the humans did not stay to argue. They gathered their things, said polite goodbyes, and walked out of the great hall together. As they left, Ambassador Hyun turned back one last time. We wish you all well, he said to the room full of angry aliens. Perhaps someday we will meet again under better circumstances. Outside the hall, the humans walked through the station's corridors without speaking. Other species stepped aside to let them pass, but not out of respect. Most were too shocked to know what to do. At the docking bay, their ship waited. It looked different from the human ships that had come to council meetings before. Sleeker, more advanced, built with no alien parts at all. As their ship pulled away from the station, Captain Lee looked back at the council building through a window. Do you think they understand what just happened? He asked. Ambassador Hyun shook his head slowly. Not yet, he said. But they will. 3 months had passed since the meeting at the Galactic Council, and Admiral Cho stood in the command center of Luna Station looking at the biggest moving operation in human history. Hundreds of ships filled the space around Earth's moon. Some were huge cargo vessels packed with equipment and supplies. Others were small transport ships carrying families and their belongings. Status report, Admiral Cho said to the young officer beside her. All colonies in Sector 7 have been evacuated, Lieutenant Nam replied, checking his data pad. New Beijing colony finished packing yesterday. The last transport ship left this morning. Admiral Cho nodded. Everything was going according to plan. The plan that no alien government knew about. The plan that had been 3 years in the making. Far across the galaxy, Governor Shin was overseeing the shutdown of New Sol Colony, humanity's largest settlement outside Earth's solar system. The colony had been home to 2 million humans for over 100 years. Now it was empty except for the cleaning crews making sure nothing important was left behind. Sir, Planetary Administrator Kellen is requesting another meeting, reported. Captain Yu, the governor's security chief. Governor Shin looked tired. The alien administrator had been demanding explanations for weeks. Send her in, but keep it short. We have a schedule to maintain. Administrator Kellen entered the room like an angry storm. Her species looked like walking lizards with too many teeth, and she was clearly furious. This is unacceptable, she hissed. You cannot just abandon this colony. We have agreements. Our lease agreement expires in 30 days, Governor Shin said calmly. He handed her a data pad. As you can see, all terms have been met. All required maintenance has been completed. All waste has been properly disposed of. The colony is being returned in better condition than we received it. But what about the economy? Kellen demanded. This colony provides jobs for 50,000 of my people. The spaceport handles trade for this entire sector." "I understand your concerns," Governor Shin replied, "but our lease is ending and we choose not to renew it." "Why?" The alien's voice cracked with desperation. "Is it money? We can discuss better terms, lower taxes, more benefits." Governor Shin stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the last human transport ships were loading the final groups of colonists. "Money is not the issue," he said quietly. "This is simply no longer our home." On the other side of the galaxy, Captain Han was pulling her merchant fleet from the spiral trade routes. Her ships had carried cargo between alien worlds for 20 years. She knew every space dock, every customs official, every shortcut through the dangerous asteroid fields. "Captain, Port Authority Chief Nexum is demanding we stay," her first officer, Lieutenant Bayek, reported from the bridge of her flagship. "On what grounds?" Captain Han asked, though she already knew the answer. "He's claiming breach of contract. Says we agreed to maintain service for another 5 years." Captain Han smiled and pulled out a data cube. "Show him this. Our contracts were for specific cargo runs, each completed individually. We fulfilled every single one. We owe nothing." An hour later, Port Authority Chief Nexum stormed onto her ship. His species looked like walking octopi, and all 8 of his arms were waving angrily. "You cannot leave," he shouted. "Your ships carry 90% of cargo through this sector." "Our current contracts are completed," Captain Han said politely. "We are not taking new ones." "But who will carry the cargo? My people depend on trade to survive." "I'm sure other merchant fleets will be happy to take over our routes," Captain Han replied, though she knew this was not true. Human ships were faster, more reliable, and much cheaper than their alien competitors. "This is economic warfare," Nexum accused. "This is business," Captain Han corrected him. "We are free to choose our customers, just as customers are free to choose their carriers." As her ships prepared to leave, Captain Han stood on her bridge watching the alien port grow smaller. Her crew was quiet, but not sad. They all knew they were going home. Meanwhile, across dozens of star systems, the same scene was playing out over and over. Human researchers were packing up their labs and taking their data with them. Human doctors were finishing their current treatments and referring their alien patients to other physicians. Human teachers were completing their classes and saying goodbye to their alien students. Dr. Kang was one of the last humans to leave alien space. She had spent 15 years studying alien diseases at the prestigious Nexus Medical Institute. Her research had saved millions of lives across a dozen species. "You cannot take your research with you," Director Velcor insisted. He was a tall, thin alien with gray skin and large black eyes. "That research belongs to the Institute." "No," Dr. Kang said firmly. "The research belongs to me. I signed no agreements giving ownership to the Institute. I simply shared my findings as a professional courtesy. But without your work, we cannot continue the cancer treatment program." Dr. Kang felt sorry for him, but her orders were clear. "I have left detailed instructions for all current treatments. Any competent researcher should be able to continue the work. We don't have anyone with your expertise." "Then I suggest you start training someone," Dr. Kang replied. "The techniques are not secret. Everything is in the medical journals." But both of them knew the truth. The medical journals contained the basic information, but Dr. Kang's years of experience, her intuitive understanding of how different alien biologies responded to treatment, her ability to solve problems that others could not even see, all of that was leaving with her. Counselor Morgeth of the Synthesis was the first alien leader to notice the pattern. His species specialized in analyzing trade data, and the numbers were starting to worry him. "The humans are not just leaving random jobs," he reported to the Emergency Council session. "They are pulling out of every critical position they hold. transportation, medical research, food production, conflict mediation. They are taking their expertise and going home. So what? Counselor Vector growled. We managed fine before the humans arrived. We will manage fine after they leave. Will. We? Morgoth asked, his spider-like legs clicking nervously. Humans operate 40% of our shipping routes. They grow 60% of the food for import-dependent worlds. Their doctors treat patients that our physicians cannot help. Other species can take over those jobs, insisted Counselor. Zephys, can they? Morgoth pulled up a holographic display showing trade routes across the galaxy. Look at this data. Human ships' complete cargo runs 20% faster than the galactic average. Their shipping costs are 30% lower. Their on-time delivery rate is 98%. The room grew quiet as the aliens studied the numbers. More concerning, Morgoth continued, is what they are taking with them. Every human research project has been shut down. Every human-designed system has been dismantled. Every improvement they made to our technology has been removed. High Counselor Zervan leaned forward in his ancient chair. What do you mean, removed? I mean, they built their improvements as separate modules that could be easily disconnected, Morgoth explained. Our spaceports are discovering that their docking systems no longer work as efficiently. Our communication networks are having problems they never had before. Our manufacturing plants are running slower. Are you saying the humans sabotaged our equipment? Counselor Vector demanded. No, Morgoth said quietly. I'm saying they improved it so quietly that we forgot it was ever different. Now that the improvements are gone, we are back to our original capabilities. We just forgot how limited those capabilities were. Captain Yoon commanded the last human ship to leave alien space. It was a simple transport vessel carrying Dr. Kang and her research team back to human territory. As they crossed the invisible border that marked the edge of the galaxy's political control, Captain Yoon activated a special beacon. The beacon sent a coded message back to Earth. Package delivered. All personnel accounted for. Operation complete. 4. The first time in 300 years, every human in the galaxy was in human-controlled space. They were alone again. But this time, they were alone by choice. 1 year after the humans left, the Galactic Council faced its first real crisis in decades. The war between the Kethani Empire and the Neutral Zones had been a small border dispute when it started. Now it was spreading to other star systems, and nobody knew how to stop it. Counselor Vesran paced back and forth in the emergency meeting room. His people looked like large cats that walked on 2 legs, and his tail was twitching with worry. We need to send peacekeepers, he said for the 10th time that day. Who's peacekeepers? Asked Counselor Drexian. The hegemony forces are too aggressive. The Federation ships are too slow. The synthesis fleet is too small. High Counselor Zervan looked older than his already ancient years. What about Captain Jin's peacekeeping fleet? He asked, then stopped. His tree-like face showed embarrassment. I keep forgetting. She is no longer available. Captain Jin had been humanity's best military negotiator. Her ships had stopped 17 different wars in the past 20 years. She had a gift for finding solutions that let both sides claim victory. But Captain Jin was gone, along with her fleet and all her experience. We could try mediation, suggested Counselor Tixara. Her crystal body chimed softly as she spoke. Perhaps Negotiator Nam could help us find a compromise. Another moment of awkward silence. Negotiator Nam was also human. He had been the galaxy's go-to diplomat for difficult situations. His office had been in the council building for 15 years, always busy with some impossible problem that somehow got solved. The Kethani are demanding war reparations, Counselor Vesran reported. The neutral zones are demanding territorial concessions. Neither side will compromise. Have we tried economic pressure? Asked Counselor Morgoth. Trade sanctions require unanimous consent, Drexian reminded them. The hegemony will not agree because they sell weapons to the Kethani. The Federation will not agree because they buy minerals from the neutral zones. In the old days, this would have been when a human delegate quietly suggested a creative solution. Maybe a three-way trade agreement that gave everyone something they wanted. Maybe a face-saving formula that let both sides claim they were defending their honor. Maybe a gradual withdrawal plan that looked like victory to both armies. But there were no human delegates anymore. The economic problems were getting worse, too. Trade Coordinator Lim had managed 17 different shipping cartels, keeping them from fighting each other over prices. Without her careful management, the cartels were now in an all-out price war that was destroying smaller trading companies. Shipping. Costs to the Outer Rim have increased by 400%, Morgeth reported to the emergency economic session. Small colonies cannot afford to import basic supplies. What about the emergency food reserves? Asked Councillor Neftos. Managed by Agricultural Minister Rowe, Morgeth replied. She was human. Minister Rowe had been in charge of the galaxy's food security system. She had managed crop rotations across 50 different worlds, making sure that bad weather on one planet did not cause starvation on another. She had also managed the strategic food reserves that were supposed to help in emergencies. Without her careful planning, 3 agricultural worlds had planted the same crops at the same time. When those crops failed due to a solar storm, there was no backup food supply ready to replace them. Can we contact the human agricultural worlds directly? Neftos asked. They are not selling food to alien markets anymore, Morgeth answered. They say they need all their production for human colonies. This was technically true, but it was also misleading. Human agricultural worlds were producing more food than ever before, but they were using new farming techniques that other species did not understand. Without human experts to teach these techniques, alien worlds were falling behind in food production. Medical researcher Bay had been working on a cure for the plague spreading through the Outer Rim. Her laboratory had been close to a breakthrough when the humans left. Now the research project was abandoned because no alien scientist understood her methods. The plague has reached 15 worlds, reported medical counselor Kexvor. The death toll is approaching 2 billion. What about Dr. Bay's research? Asked Zervon hopefully. Her notes are written in human medical terminology, Kexvor replied. Our scientists cannot understand them. The research methods she used are not taught in our medical schools. Can we ask human doctors for help? We tried. They said they are not accepting medical consultation requests from alien governments. This was the most frustrating part. The humans were not being actively hostile. When alien ships requested emergency aid, human vessels responded quickly and professionally. When alien diplomats asked for directions, human officials were polite and helpful. But when it came to the big problems, the ongoing crises, the complex situations that required weeks or months of careful work, the humans simply said they were not available. Counselor Drexian decided to try a direct approach. He traveled to the edge of human space and requested a meeting with Earth's government. The response came from Minister Seo in New Geneva. The United Earth government appreciates the Galactic Council's interest in renewed cooperation, the formal message said. However, we are no longer participating in galactic political affairs. All previous agreements and treaties have been formally concluded. But we need your help, Drexian replied. The galaxy is falling apart without human assistance. Minister Seo was polite, but firm. We understand the Council is facing difficulties. However, these are not human difficulties. They are galactic difficulties that exist because the galaxy chose certain methods of organization. We wish you success in finding galactic solutions. The most embarrassing part was that the aliens were starting to fight among themselves. For 2 centuries, humans had quietly mediated disputes between different species. They had a talent for finding common ground and helping enemies remember why they had been friends. The hegemony is cheating on trade agreements, Counselor Tixera accused during one particularly heated session. The Federation is manipulating shipping routes. Counselor. Vector shot back. The synthesis is spreading lies about our economic data, Neftos added. High Counselor Zervan called for order, but his ancient voice was not strong enough to quiet the shouting match that followed. In the old days, this was when Ambassador Hyun would have stepped forward with some gentle joke that made everyone remember they were supposed to be allies. But Ambassador Hyun was gone. The meeting dissolved into chaos. Representatives stormed out. Threats were made. Old grudges were brought up. Some species began forming separate alliances against others. That night, sitting alone in his office, High Counselor Zervan finally understood what had happened. The humans had not just been participants in galactic civilization. They had been the invisible foundation that held it together. They had been the mediators who prevented conflicts, the organizers who made systems work efficiently, the problem solvers who found solutions when everyone else saw only obstacles, the diplomats who helped enemies become friends, and the galaxy had treated them like servants. We thought they needed us, Zervan said to himself in the empty room, but we needed them. Outside his window, he could see the space lanes that were supposed to be busy with trade ships. Half of them were empty now. The other half were backed up in traffic jams because no one understood the traffic management systems that humans had quietly improved over the years. In the distance, emergency lights flashed from a space station that was having power problems. The human engineers who used to fix such problems quickly and efficiently were no longer available. Zervan realized that the humans had been right about one thing. They had learned everything the galaxy could teach them, but the galaxy had never learned what the humans were teaching in return. Now the students were gone, and the teachers finally understood how much they had depended on them. 5 years had passed since the humans left, and the galaxy was dying slowly. Not from war or plague, though both of those problems continued to spread. It was dying from 1,000 small failures that nobody knew how to fix. Emergency Counselor. Kexnor stood at the front of his ship as it approached the edge of human space. Behind him were representatives from 12 different species, all desperate enough to swallow their pride and ask for help. The ship itself was a symbol of how far the galaxy had fallen. It was patched together from spare parts because the shipyards that used to build new vessels could no longer operate efficiently. Human vessel. This is Galactic Council emergency. Delegation requesting permission to enter your space, Kexnor broadcast on all frequencies. The response came quickly from Admiral Park of the Solar Defense Network. Her ship appeared on their screens, sleek and powerful, in a way that made the alien vessel look like a broken toy. Galactic Council vessel, you are welcome to remain at the heliopause. Please state your business. We request a meeting with Earth's government, Kexnor said. The galaxy is facing multiple crises. We need human assistance. One moment, please. Admiral Park's image disappeared for several minutes. When she returned, her expression was professionally polite but firm. Earth's government does not conduct meetings with Galactic Council representatives. However, I am authorized to listen to your concerns and pass them along. Kexnor felt his heart sink. Even getting a meeting required going through military channels now. Admiral, the situation is desperate. The Great Recession has destroyed the economies of 47 star systems. 3 separate wars are raging with no end in sight. The plague of Vega has killed over 50 billion people across 30 worlds. Admiral Park listened patiently, her expression never changing. I understand your concerns. Is there anything specific you would like me to communicate to Earth's government? We are prepared to offer significant concessions, Kexnor said quickly. Expanded trade agreements, territory grants, even a permanent seat on the High Council for Humanity. I will pass along your message, Admiral Park replied. Is there anything else? Behind Kexnor, Counselor Melvon pushed forward. The old alien's crystalline body was dim with exhaustion and despair. Please, he said, his voice cracking, We were wrong. We understand that now. The humans were never our servants or students. You were our teachers, and we were too proud to see it. For the first time, Admiral Park's expression softened slightly. Counselor Melvan, I remember you from the council meetings. You were always fair to human representatives. Not fair enough, Melvan replied. We treated human contributions as if they were worthless. We took credit for improvements that humans made to our technology. We expected humans to solve our problems while giving them no real authority to make decisions. These are serious accusations, Admiral Park said carefully. They are not accusations, Melvan said sadly. They are confessions. A new image appeared on the communication screen. Dr. Yang from Mars looked tired but curious. She was older now, with gray streaks in her black hair, but her eyes were still sharp and intelligent. Dr. Yang, Kexnor said with relief. Thank you for speaking with us. I am only here to listen, Dr. Yang replied. My government's position has not changed. We are no longer involved in galactic affairs. But surely you can see that the galaxy needs human help. Counselor Rixten interrupted. His species looked like walking sharks, and his frustration was making his teeth show. Billions are dying while humans hide in their own space. Dr. Yang's expression grew cold. Humans are not hiding. We are exploring directions that the galaxy never considered. We have established research stations beyond the galactic rim. We are building cities in pocket dimensions. We are conducting experiments with dark matter that could revolutionize space travel. While people suffer, Rixten accused. While people learn to solve their own problems, Dr. Yang corrected. The galaxy's problems exist because the galaxy chose certain ways of organizing itself. Those ways created dependency instead of cooperation. Kexnor tried a different approach. What would it take for humanity to return? Name your price. Dr. Yang was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was not angry, just sad. Counselor, do you understand what you are asking? You want humans to come back and fix problems that the galaxy created, but fixing those problems would just recreate the same dependency that caused them. She gestured to something off-screen, and images appeared showing human activities beyond the galaxy. Massive construction projects in empty space, ships with designs unlike anything the aliens had ever seen, cities that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Humanity has moved beyond the limitations that define galactic civilization, Dr. Yang continued. We have found ways to create energy from vacuum fluctuations. We have learned to manipulate time itself on a small scale. We have made contact with intelligences from other galaxies. The alien delegates stared at the images in shock. The technology they were seeing was centuries ahead of anything in the galaxy. How? Counselor Melvan whispered. By working together instead of competing, Dr. Yang replied. By sharing knowledge instead of hoarding it. By building systems that make everyone stronger instead of making some people dependent on others. But you learned those skills from us, Rixten protested. We learned your technical knowledge. Dr. Yang agreed. But we also learned from your mistakes. We saw how galactic civilization created inequality and dependency. We decided to build something better. Admiral Park added her own perspective. The galaxy taught humanity many things. But the most important lesson was what not to do. We learned that from watching how the Council treated its own members. Kexnor felt desperate. Then teach us. Help us build something better, too. The galaxy is not ready for that lesson, Dr. Yang said gently. You are still thinking in terms of hierarchy and control. You still want someone else to solve your problems for you. That is exactly the thinking that created your current situation. So you will just abandon us? Melvan asked. We are not abandoning anyone, Dr. Yang replied. We are simply not enabling continued dependency. The galaxy has all the knowledge it needs to solve these problems. You just need to work together to use that knowledge. But we do not know how to work together, Kexnor admitted. Then learn, Dr. Yang said simply. The same way humanity learned. Through trial and error, through cooperation instead of competition, through building systems that benefit everyone instead of just the powerful. The communication ended, leaving the alien delegates staring at empty space. Their ship felt even more fragile and pathetic compared to the advanced human vessels they had seen. They are right, Melvin said quietly. We want them to come back and fix our problems so we do not have to change ourselves. So what do we do? Kexnor asked. We go home, Melvin replied. We tell the Council the truth. Humanity is not coming back. If we want to survive, we must learn to work together the way humans did. The Council will not listen, Rix 10 predicted. Then the galaxy will continue to fall apart, Melvin said sadly, until the cost of failure becomes greater than the cost of change. As their ship turned away from human space, Kexnor took one last look at the advanced human vessels guarding the border. Those ships represented everything the galaxy could have achieved if it had learned to truly cooperate instead of just managing competition. But it was too late for regrets. The humans had moved on to bigger and better things. The galaxy would have to find its own way forward, or it would not find a way at all. The delegation returned home with the hardest message any government wants to hear. You are on your own. No one is coming to save you. If you want to survive, you must save yourselves. 20 years had passed since humanity left the galaxy, and historian Kexnor sat in the Council archives writing the official record of what everyone now called the Great Departure. The galaxy had survived, but it was smaller now, less connected, less ambitious than it had been when humans were part of it. Kexnor was young for a historian, but old enough to remember the time before humans left. He had been a student then, working as an assistant in the archives. He remembered the constant stream of human researchers who came to study old records and share new discoveries. The Great Departure was not a single event, he wrote carefully. It was the result of 3 centuries of missed opportunities. The galaxy treated humanity as junior partners when they should have been recognized as equals. More importantly, the galaxy failed to learn from humanity's greatest strength, their ability to make things work. In her private quarters, Elder, Counselor Nevisa was writing her own memories of the human years. She was ancient now, even by the standards of her long-lived species. Her crystal body was dim and cracked with age, but her mind was still sharp. We thought humans were weak because they always sought compromise, she wrote. We thought they were unimportant because they did not demand recognition for their contributions. We were wrong about both things. Humans were not weak. They were wise. They were not unimportant. They were essential. Nevisa remembered the day she first met Ambassador Hyun. It was during a crisis over mining rights in the neutral zone. 3 different species were threatening war over the same asteroid field. The negotiations had been going on for months with no progress. Then Hyun had suggested a simple solution. Why not mine the asteroids together and share the profits based on how much work each species contributed? It seemed obvious once he said it, but none of the aliens had thought of it themselves. That was the human gift, Nevisa wrote. They saw solutions where we saw only problems. They found ways to turn competition into cooperation. We took this gift for granted because it seemed so natural when they did it. Archivist Goltar was working in the deep storage levels, cataloging old records that had been forgotten for decades. He kept finding documents that surprised him, technical specifications with subtle improvements that no one had credited to humans, diplomatic agreements that avoided war through clever wording that sounded like human thinking, economic plans that worked perfectly but had no clear author. The humans were everywhere, he reported to historian Kexnor. Every major achievement of the past 3 centuries has human influence. but you have to look carefully to see it. They never put their names on things, they just made them work better. Goltar showed Kexmore a particularly interesting example. The faster-than-light communication system that connected the entire galaxy had been invented by the Hegemony 200 years ago. But the version that actually worked had 17 small modifications that were never officially documented. I traced these modifications through maintenance records, Goltar explained. Every single one was suggested by human technicians. Without these changes, the communication system would have failed within 10 years. Did the Hegemony know this? Kexmore asked. If they did, they never admitted it, Goltar replied. The human contributions were always described as minor adjustments or routine maintenance. But without them, the most important technology in the galaxy would not have worked. Captain Dexula was now a grandmother, telling stories to her family about the old days when humans served on galactic ships. Her grandchildren found it hard to believe that aliens and humans had once worked together. "Tell us about the Nebula crisis again," her youngest granddaughter asked. Dexula smiled and settled into her favorite chair. "My ship was trapped in a dark matter storm," she began. "Our engines were failing, our shields were down, and we had lost contact with the fleet. The storm was so violent that we could not even tell which direction led to safety." "What did you do?" "I was ready to abandon ship," Dexula admitted. But Chief Engineer Park had a different idea. She suggested using the storm's own energy to power our engines. It seemed impossible, but she had done the calculations. It worked perfectly. We rode the storm out of the nebula like surfing a wave. "Was Engineer Park really human?" the girl asked. "Yes, and she saved all 43 members of my crew," Dexula replied. "But she never asked for medals or recognition. She just said it was part of her job." Admiral Rexton had his own confession to make in his retirement memoirs. He had won the sector wars that everyone credited as his greatest military achievement, but the victory had not been his idea. Tactical advisor Jin suggested the strategy that ended the war, he wrote honestly. She called it winning by not fighting. Instead of attacking the enemy directly, we protected the civilian populations they were trying to control. When the civilians felt safe, they stopped supporting the enemy. The war ended without a final battle. Jin was human, and her strategy saved millions of lives. But I received all the credit because I was the commanding officer. I should have insisted that she be recognized for her contribution. Rexton had tried to contact Jin after the humans left, wanting to apologize and set the record straight. But the message came back with a polite note saying that human military personnel were no longer accepting communications from former galactic allies. Scientist Wexana had won the galaxy's highest scientific award for her discovery of quantum biology, but she had never told anyone that the breakthrough came from research that Dr. O had shared freely during a conference. Dr. O gave a presentation about quantum effects in biological systems, Wexana wrote in her journal. Most of the audience ignored it because they thought it was too theoretical, but I realized she was describing something revolutionary. I spent 3 years developing her ideas into a complete theory. When I published my results, I mentioned her work in the footnotes, but everyone focused on my conclusions. Dr. O never complained, even though the discovery was really hers. Wexana had tried to share her award with Dr. O, but the human scientist had already left the galaxy. Like so many others, Dr. O had simply vanished into human space, taking her knowledge and experience with her. Current High Counselor Texavor received reports from deep space explorers who occasionally spotted signs of human activity beyond the galaxy. The reports were always brief and mysterious. Ships with impossible designs appearing for a moment before vanishing again. Energy signatures that suggested massive construction projects in empty space. Radio signals in human languages, coming from distances that should take centuries to reach. The humans have not just survived, Texavor told his closest advisors. They have built something we cannot even understand. While we struggle to maintain what we had 20 years ago, they have created technologies that seem like magic. The most disturbing report came from explorer Captain Hex Non, who had been mapping the galaxy's edge when she encountered something impossible. "I detected a structure that should not exist," she reported. It appeared to be a space station, but it was larger than most moons. The energy readings were off all our scales. When I tried to approach, it simply disappeared. Not destroyed, not hidden, just gone, as if it had never been there. "Could it have been a sensor malfunction?" Texivore asked. "I ran full diagnostics twice," Hexnon replied. "All systems were working perfectly. Whatever I saw, it was real. And it was using technology that we cannot even begin to understand." Memorial Keeper Lexashan maintained the empty human embassy on Council Station. Every day, she updated a message, bored with news from around the galaxy, hoping that someday a human might return to see it. The embassy had been sealed when the humans left, but Lexashan had been given permission to preserve it as a monument. Everything was exactly as the humans had left it. Desks with work left unfinished. Coffee cups still sitting in the kitchen. Family photos on the walls. "I keep hoping," Lexashan told visitors. "Maybe someday they will come back to visit. Maybe they will want to see how we are doing." But in her heart, she knew better. The humans had moved on to bigger and better things. The galaxy they had left behind was just a memory now, a chapter in their history that they had closed forever. Counselor Yextra spent her final years studying human history, trying to understand how the galaxy had made such a terrible mistake. The more she learned, the more obvious it became. "Humans do not come back to places that did not want them," she wrote in her final report. "This is a pattern throughout their history. When they are rejected or mistreated, they do not seek revenge. They simply build something better somewhere else." The galaxy had the chance to partner with the most adaptable, most cooperative species we had ever encountered. Instead, we treated them as servants and students. We took their contributions for granted and gave them no real authority to make decisions. Now they are gone, and we are left with the bitter knowledge that we possessed something precious and threw it away through our own ignorance and arrogance. The galaxy continued to function, but it never quite soared the way it had when humans were part of it. Problems that should have been easy to solve became permanent difficulties. Technologies that should have advanced remained stagnant.